To have Prudential Life Insurance Ghana. Put your hands together for Prudential, guys. The Financial Awareness Foundation. We have the Ghana Association of Bankers. Put your hands together for them. Access Pension Trust. Put your hands together for them. They've done so well. Societe General Ghana. They deserve an applause. Put your hands together for them, man. SG. Ghana Think. Let's talk more action. Put your hands together for Ghana Think. And finally, financial literacy, improving financial awareness. The Financial Awareness Foundation. At this moment, I want to humbly implore us all to rise humbly for an opening prayer. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you so much for this moment. We thank you for the life of guests, participants, and special guests who are here to educate and illuminate the minds of these young ones who are in school. Father, we ask that this moment does not become more of a talk shop, but becomes a workshop where minds are renewed, revived, and are impacted to be impact-driven and transformative agents in society. We thank you for being with us. See us through this event. This we ask in the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen. Thank you. We can have our seats. Now I'll begin the event to introduce to you who our special guests are. Later they will be coming up so we can have a conversation on today's topic. Let me start with Mr. Robert Jatto, CEO, Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana. Is he here? Put your hands together for Mr. Robert Jatto. He is the man of the moment. Let's also have a loud one for Madam Kafi Bulle, Chief Strategy Officer, Prudential Life Insurance Ghana. Is she here? But I believe there's a rep. Okay, later on we're going to know who is representing her. Professor Enoch Opoku Enchi, Dean of Business Administration and Commercial Communication Arts, Academic City University College. Put your hands together for Professor Enoch Opoku Enchi. And let's hear it for Mr. Randolph Arnold, Partner Accountant Advisory Services, KPMG. Put your hands together for him. Thank you. And we have Mr. Kwame Abebiu Amponsa, Head of Sales, Access Pension Trust. All right. Put it together for Madam Florence Abadazi, Personal Finance Planner and Business Development Executive. Put your hands together for Madam Florence Abadazi. Let's hear it out for Madam Prisla Ishiam, Head of CSR Sustainable Development, SG Bank. Correct. Let's do it for her. Mr. Paul Mante, Managing Director, EDC Investments Limited. Okay, he could join us. One last time, last but not the least, he is the reason why we're all here. Mr. Peter Sarenyaku, Executive Director, Center for Financial Literacy Education, Africa. And the last one is for you who are here, for yourself. A loud one, come on. Okay, I wouldn't mince words. I want to do the first activity, which is to invite Mr. Robert Jatto, CEO, Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana, to help us with the opening address. Do it loud for him, please. Loud for him. Mr. Robert Jatto, to do the opening address. We can do it better for him, okay? Before he gets up here, put your hands together for him. Thank you, sir.
So, good afternoon. No response. Good afternoon. I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome you all to the Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana. I said last year, for those who were here, that the only reason I get this opportunity every year is because you are using my auditorium. And that I made a promise that by this year, we'll have this place renovated I'm sure you can see the changes. If you don't clap for me, you don't get lunch. So that's my first job. I've advertised the auditorium. But let me go straight to the point. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you to all of you for making it, and to Center for Financial Literacy. Thanks for the great work that you are doing. We are really delighted as an institute to be part of this program every year. At Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana, our mandate is to promote banking education and to regulate the practice of banking in Ghana. So what does that actually mean? It means developing trusted professionals for the financial services industry. It means putting ethics high on the agenda of banks and bankers. It means being the talent and leadership engine for our country. And so this mandate and this program, I believe there is quite some strong relationship. Financial literacy, really, it's something that goes to the core of what we do. So beyond developing bankers, we need to develop the next set of citizens who should be financially literate. And that's why we are extremely delighted to continue to partner the Center for Financial Literacy on this particular program. Last year, in pursuit of this financial literacy agenda, as an institute, we went to a number of schools across the country to teach. And we leveraged chartered bankers, and a number of banks participated in that. That's something that we are determined to continue this year in partnership with all of you. I think financial literacy is so crucial at every level of society, and that cannot be overemphasized, particularly if you look at where we are coming from, all the crises that we've experienced recently, both at the individual level, macro level, and global level. And that's why it's important. Now, I'm told Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, said that he started investing at the age of 11. He bought his first farm, which is an investment he made, at the age of 13 or 14. But he had one regret. And the regret is that he started too late. I hope you do get that. So to our young brothers and sisters who are here, start early. Start early. And for those who are advanced in age, it's never too late to start. On that note, I welcome you to the Chartered Institute of Bankers. Enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Put your hands together for Mr. Robert Jado. Now it's a very impactful one. And the next to invite up here to give us the purpose of gathering, progress and way forward on today's theme is the Executive Director, for the Center for Financial Literacy Education Africa, Executive Director, Mr. Peter Kojo Asabenyako. Put your hands together for him, please. Now, as we do it, before he gets up here, you don't have to stop. You don't have to stop. That is how the energy is built. Thank you so much. All right.
Good afternoon. I hope we are doing great. Thank you so much for showing up today. We are sorry for keeping you waiting, and we hope by the end of this program, you will value the time that you have spent here. And so basically, we have gathered here to have a conversation around financial literacy and money matters. Every year in April, we do a month-long campaign known as Financial Literacy Month. And so this year, ahead of Financial Literacy Month, we decided to organize the second National Financial Awareness and Financial Literacy Conference so we can encourage more community participation. And so we have experts, we have stakeholders, we have industry players here who are going to share with you some essential skills about personal financial management. And I believe and hope by the end of this program, we will transform our lives and go out there to transform the people around us. Financial literacy is an important life skill. And for the Center for Financial Literacy Education Africa, our goal is to build sustainable communities of financial literacy. A community where each and everyone have access to the essential principles to personal financial management. And so you know how to create wealth, you know how to sustain that wealth, and you know how to pass on that wealth to future generations. And so thank you all for showing up. And to our speakers, God bless you so much for availing yourself to impart the young generation. The young generation are the future of Ghana. And so if you have availed yourself to impart knowledge and wisdom into them, all we can say is God bless you, and may he continue to shower upon you great wisdom, great insight. So everyone who comes into contact with you will benefit from this insight. Once again, I welcome you all to the second National Financial Awareness and Financial Literacy Conference. Enjoy yourself. Thank you.
All right. So it has begun. The conversation starts now, and you can put your hands together for yourselves and for the Executive Director for CFLE. All right. Conversation 1 begins shortly. And before that, we would have to Before we begin the conversation, let me also acknowledge the presence of Mr. Thomas Asampon from Prudential Bank, head of Prudential Insurance Company, head of Microinsurance. Are you here, sir? All right. Put your hands together for Mr. Thomas Asampon. Joining me for the first conversation, a group of learned academics and also industry practitioners who are well versed in the field of financial literacy and sustainable development. Beginning with is Professor Enoch Opoku-Entry, Dean of Business and Communication Arts, Academics at the University College. Will join me up here. Put your hands together for him, sir. So he will make his way this way, sir. So let's put the energy on as he makes his way to the stage. You don't stop. You don't stop. You don't stop. So he will join me. Sir, you can have a seat. Thank you. Joining him upstage is Mrs. Florence Abadazi, Personal Financial Planner and Business Development Executive. Put your hands together for Mrs. Florence Abadazi. Last but not least is Mr. Randolph Ano, Partner Accounting Advisory Services, KPMG. A round of applause for him, please. Just keep the energy on whilst he makes his way upstage. The energy must not stop. Thank you. You are the liveliest audience ever. You can do it for yourselves. One last one, okay? Sure. Now, before the conversation begins, there is a preamble that we all must brood, and later on we talk about. One last person, very important person, who would have to also ask to join us humbly up here is the CEO for the Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana, Mr. Robert Jatto. Sir, we'll be glad to have you join us. My audience, don't kill the energy. Put it up, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me go ahead with a preamble so we all can appreciate it and then have the conversation. Financial awareness and financial literacy are a cornerstone of economic empowerment, yet it has remained a neglected area in Ghana and worldwide. This knowledge gap not only affects individuals but also has far-reaching implications for society and the economy, particularly for younger generations and female groups facing unique financial challenges. My honorable panel, multiple studies including 2023 World Bank report and Old Mutual's Financial Service Monitor have revealed alarming data, and countries with higher levels of financial awareness and literacy seem to have lower rates of poverty, higher levels of financial inclusion, more robust financial systems, and much better infrastructure. It seems like a no-brainer, right? Well, we're not sure why financial awareness and literacy isn't more of a priority in schools, in communities, financial service industries, churches, and for large corporations. Building sustainable communities of financial awareness and financially literate citizens, and including everyone in the financial services value chain, is so critical. As stakeholders, as practitioners, as opinion leaders, financial service regulators, corporate institutions, education institutions, and all, how do we help communities where everyone is economically sustained? How can we help them meet their present needs and taking steps towards their future needs? Today, the conversation is about how do we alleviate poverty, illuminate darkened minds, and help shape good futures through financial literacy. The conversation begins. Mr. Robert Jatto, in your experience, CEO, CIB Ghana, how have you been able to transcend over these barriers of financial literacy, poverty right within our environment, yet we have the knowledge? How do we break these barriers?
Well, so thank you very much. And I think that for me, the starting point is those of us in the room here. And that's important, especially our young ones, colleagues, brothers and sisters. I think we need to understand that this financial literacy thing is not theoretical, it's practical. And that if we want to achieve development at individual level, at institutional level, and at the country level, it's something that we must have, as you just pointed out. Economies or countries that are financially aware and literate also demonstrate, a certain immaturity in development, so to speak. And therefore, it's important. I think the first fundamental point I'm making is that this is an important conversation, an important skill that everybody must have. The second is really we all have a responsibility. And starting with the Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana, for example, it's not enough to educate just bankers. It's really extending this to secondary schools, to churches, as you've indicated, so that we are aware that whilst we are working today, we may not be working forever. We need to secure the future by starting a certain savings culture. But savings is not enough. Once you save, you must invest. But where do you invest? That awareness of where to even put your money, it's very important. I think that even more crucially is the fact that, whether we like it or not, we all need the education, particularly the skills around financial literacy, because I can bet almost all of us here went to school or are in school and we got degrees. Those degrees are about how we build competencies, call it intellectual competencies, but also moral competencies, to get a job or to start a business, right? There is nothing out there that gives you a degree on how to manage the money that you get by way of salary when you start working. And that in itself is a problem, because we went to school to learn chemistry, to learn accounting, but really there's nothing that helps you to learn how to manage your money. And I think that's where I come back to the responsibility on all of us at institutional level, at individual levels, to push this agenda, because it's so, so important. And I think that's where I want to rest for now.
Okay. We can put our hands together for him, please. Let's go to our next speaker, sir. And there is this conversation about how are you driving this change right from your own capacity. So your capacity as an academic, how are you turning the waves? How are you being encircling, impact-driven wise, to bring change in financial literacy within your environment as an academic?
Thank you, and is it good evening or good afternoon to everybody here? I think our best teachers are our parents. So I'm going to draw some parallels from the advanced world to Ghana, then you understand where I'm coming from. Financial literacy in America or in Europe started at 9 years or 10 years. So if you look at the autobiography of Bill Gates, he said he was in 3rd grade, which is 10 years. And then a guest speaker came to the class and was talking and said that you can be whoever you want to be, even if you want to be, and I'm using this big man as an example, even if you want to be the richest person in the world. And he said that day it dawned on him that he will be the richest person, and he was, until Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos overtook him. So what we do is that our kids, nothing is for free. If they wash the dishes, you give them $1. If they wash the car, you give them $2. You are teaching them how to work for money. And then anything that they buy, they have to report to you. Now, most white families have something that they do that I like, and I do the same. Every week, the family will meet. And then each child will tell about challenges that they have faced throughout the week. Parents will share the same. And then when you finish, you pray and you say kumbaya to each other. So I say this to mean that from the orientations at home, we come to the classroom. Academia can do two things. We can let the theory inform the practice, or the practice inform the theory. So if you go to Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam, most travelers were peeing on the floor. And to avoid that, what can we do in academia to stop people who are hurriedly traveling and making transit peeing on the floor instead of, gauging into it? And you know what I mean. So academia designed something like a butterfly in that tank. So when people are peeing, they gauge it, and then it reduces those peeing on the floor by 90%. So what do we do with our academics? Unfortunately, in Africa, people do not even have the finances, let alone to have the literacy on it. How many have a meaningful job? If you look at the national statistics, unemployment, they say, is 14.8%, and that's a lie. It is not true. Every 10 individuals you pick, about 6 are not working. And then they say that among graduates is 23%. That's scary. It means that those who go to universities are all more unemployed than those who have not gone to school. That shouldn't be the case. So how do we bridge the gap between academia and the world of work? Because we are the supply side, and those who are hiring you are the demand side. How do we work together in internship? How do we work together even among the universities, collaborating instead of competing among ourselves? So we have a lot to do. But financial literacy is everything, but not everything. I say this to mean that when you have multiple priorities, how do you become financially literate? This morning, I took an Uber because I decided to take an Uber. And the driver was telling me that his kids are at home. He owes 300 Ghana cedis per child for school fees. So he could not pay 900 Ghana cedis because of that, all the 3 kids at home. Now, my mother is on Lipitor, which is cholesterol medication, and for 1 month supply is 500 Ghana cedis. So when I listen to people and what they tell me, it's like every day there are multiple priorities. You want to watch DSTV, it's about 380 Ghana cedis, right? Electricity, we have a scam here that you prepay something and then you can't enjoy it. So you bought prepaid for electricity and yet you can't have light on. So there are many challenges, plethora of challenges that we have here that makes it difficult for people to manage their finances. But I'm going to end because I know we'll come back. That as students, I'll motivate you that it is just income and expenditure. Once you get something small in your pocket, be watchful how you spend it. You know, you have some friends who ask you to borrow you some money. They won't pay back. Some of you who like girlfriends, you have to give some of them some money. Be watchful of that. If you are buying lunch every day outside there and it's 30 cedis, 40 Ghana cedis, try to make your own lunch and then save the 1 week of 20 Ghana cedis each. And then see how much you can save. Once you do that, get a partner. So if you are good at business, get somebody who is good at IT. Partner with the person. You can begin to form your own business. The best business you see around were started by 2 individuals as partnership. Ernst & Young, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson. These are 2 individuals who come together to form their own business, and it works for them. So the people you've seen, I've been to the house of KFC in Northern Kentucky. I've taught there. I've been to the house of the Wright brothers who invented airplane in Dayton, Ohio. They are not extraordinary people. They are just like you and I. So I'm encouraging you that the little that you make, if you are able to save it and you don't do impulse buying, that can begin a business for you. Thank you.
That's great. Put your hands together for him, sir. Mrs. Florence, Madam Florence, let's look at right from your context of profession. How have you been able, or how inspired are you seeing the data of Ghanaians or Africans who lack that financial exposure? And how have you been able to make an impact right from your office and your profession?
Okay, thank you. So I will take it from 2 angles. First, as a personal financial planner, and then also from the perspective of the accelerator that I work with, and that would focus more on inclusiveness. So it really is alarming how low financial literacy is. And I remember having a discussion with a friend of mine just recently, and I said, and a very learned person, and I said, so what are your thoughts on financial literacy? And he said, unfortunately, I don't have any thoughts. I was made to study all the difficult things, the X over the Y, you know, almighty formula, all these things, and there is nothing being taught in our schools and even in our workplaces about personal financial planning. And I have a personal example. I mean, my dad wouldn't be happy with me for this, but he was a banker for 26 years.
Wow.
And he didn't save, you know. It was after he left, and then we realized that, okay, he was in that bubble of, I always get income and on time, so there was no incentive to save. So it's not just on the grassroots level or even for students, but the general population really knows very little about personal financial planning. And that's why I decided to, well, from my own point, when I realized that this is what happened with my dad, I decided, okay, I have to do better. And that's when I got into personal financial planning and looking for information that can be relevant in our context, because that's another thing you realize is missing. Most of the content out there, it's not relevant for us here. With us, you have to deal with black taxes, you know, having to send money home, all those things. Someone just gets into work and already they have like 5 dependents, mom, dad, and 3 sisters or brothers back home. And I was thinking, how can we really solve this issue? So I started with my friends. I'll take a friend, say, okay, we're going to go through coaching for a while. We're going to come up with financial goals, because you really can't wish yourself into financial freedom. you have to work at it. You have to have, especially having goals, because you can't just say, I want to be rich. That is not a goal, that is a wish. And setting objectives, and then we cascade it, we drill it down. What am I going to do to be able to meet these objectives? What things do I have to forego to be able to meet these objectives? And I always say that if you're able to, put in the work now, eventually you're going to be financially free. So that is it on the personal financial planning angle. I take people through understanding and bringing it also into context in their own lives, because there are very many different perspectives, even when it comes to personal financial planning. On the accelerator point, we work with small and micro businesses. We train them we give them capacity building tools, technology, financial knowledge, all that to help them scale. So that is where we are inclusive when it comes to financial literacy.
Great. We can put your hands together for that, please. And let me go to Mr. Randolph on his points. So what are your views on, if all things being equal, we had a very robust and, let's say, well-learned community, people who understand the financial trends and how they can participate effectively for a better life. On that view, how would life be like? And from your own professional desk, what are your contributions towards such a goal, societal goal?
Okay, so I will take it from maybe from a KPMG perspective, what we have done.
Yeah.
I am here not on my own, so I will look at it from the point of the firm, and then I will answer your other question of how life will be. So from a KPMG point of view, from even a global perspective, right, we see, or currently, we are all talking about ESG, environmental, social, and governance, right? As a firm, internationally or globally, these are things that we just don't talk about. So internally, we have what we call our impact plan. Our impact plan, we have 4 layers or 4 pillars: people, planet, prosperity, and there's a 4th one that I've forgotten. All these are tied to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So if we touch on prosperity, somebody may think, okay, it is about how we as a business will make money. No, but it is about how we can make meaningful impact in the communities we operate in. So we do a lot of volunteering in different parts of the world, right? Volunteering our knowledge that we've gained to support different initiatives, all with the aim of reducing poverty. If you look at the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the goal 1 is no poverty. I don't know whether that will ever be achieved. The Bible says, Jesus said that the poor will always be with you. So we all live to see whether no poverty. But it is important if poverty is reduced, because the chaos in society will calm down. So we volunteer a lot of time to whether to train or to participate in people who are doing, organizations that are doing things to help transform or to impact lives. For us being here, even on this platform, is part of the volunteering. I could have been sent somewhere by the firm working on something that will earn the firm money. All right, but because we trust and know that this is important, and because it is tied to our global goal of making meaningful impact in the communities and the societies we work in, we don't take these things lightly. Usually from the beginning of the year, we have an arrangement with Joy FM where they usually do talk about financial literacy stuff. So we send people on such programs to also add their voice as to how we can all become better. It's a journey, and we are all on that journey. So as a firm, these are things that we take seriously. And it is not just in Ghana, but it is global. So we do that. in terms of your first question as to how life will be, I think that I will invert it to say, if you look at the data, right, the data shows that indeed countries where financial literacy is up there, the conditions or the lives of people are better. So for me, it's a simple answer to say maybe let's invert it. Say if we have a citizenry that are financially literate, then one, the life of the people will be better. And it's not just the life of the people. When people are financially literate, they will be patronizing products in the environment that they find themselves in. So in some instance or in a certain way, our financial services sector will also be improved. People will be saving, people will be patronizing insurance product. I see Prudential Life here. So there will be some sort of resilience or growth in the entire financial services sector or that ecosystem. All right. So having a financially literate citizenry does not only even benefit just the individuals, but I see it as also having a lot of impact on the players in the financial services sector as well. So I will rest that here for now.
Great. And absolutely, the next important question is, what has to be done? You know, we are actually at a conference where solutions, innovations, we believe can erupt out of these engagements. But we're looking at, with practitioners like you, professionals like you up here, what are some of the ideas you have on your plate to help bridge this gap? You are the ones we are looking for. We're seeing how you can now put something on the ground to transform this ordeal into something beneficial. So let's go to Madam Florence. Oh yeah, we can go back to Mr. Robert, or you can take it for us.
Okay.
How are you transforming this challenge into an opportunity, right from your desk?
From my desk?
Yes, from your desk.
Okay, so I think I mentioned this previously. From my desk, we provide training, so financial literacy for underserved communities, for people closest to the poverty line, to help them, be able to turn their lives around. So the Accelerator program that I talked about, it's one of the ways that we can use to change the narrative. And it's so inspiring when you see what these women and underserved communities do with the knowledge that you give them. Some are able to absolutely turn their lives around and that of their generation. So that's really crucial. But I would also touch on other, not just my desk, but other spaces. And first is the banking sector.
Yeah.
The banking sector, is doing so well now. I should say though, UBA recently, I heard, has given out a fund of about 100 million to SMEs,
Great.
To support SME capacity building and lending to them. And SG is also doing amazing in that space as well. So a couple of banks are doing well. But I believe it goes beyond policies of transparency, because if you look at the report that Old Mutual wrote, the reason why people didn't want to bank with banks is there's no transparency, there's lack of trust, and the affordability of it. It goes beyond policies that would enhance the transparency. I believe it's a whole mindset shift that needs to happen, because if strategically you're just saying that you want to be more inclusive, you want to pay attention to the retail space and small businesses, but the KPI of the relationship officer who is managing these accounts is that they'll be able to bring in X amount of money,
Yes.
then there is no alignment there. Because when it comes down to it, I have to look at what am I going to do to meet my budget? And that is not taking time to listen to this petty trader and say, you know what, maybe if we put this amount of money in this, you're going to get this. Because most of the products that we are even selling sometimes does not serve these people. So there will be a government bond or treasury bill, and we will sell a fixed deposit to them, because a fixed deposit would mean that I'm only giving you 4%, or a current account where I'm not giving you anything. However, if I'm not giving you anything because I'm getting spread, we can trade this money on the interbank, and because of that I will sell you a fixed deposit. But then if we do that, it will just be talk about financial literacy and financial inclusiveness. So we really have to be able to align the goals to what is happening on the ground, on how we can actually help these, the retail space do better. We can help them grow their businesses, and these people they're hungry for change. So it is one of the ways that I think we can really help to bridge the gap when it comes to financial literacy. Being able to actually do, that labor of love, not just saying, but having that mindset shift around how we can really empower small businesses and help people grow.
Great. Prof, the students here are filled with so much hope. Currently, we have some very, very, very critical challenges within the economy. Unemployment is one, and people still have to go to school, yet go hunt for jobs and are getting so much rejections. In an environment like this, and we're still campaigning that they should be financially literate, how well are we changing the narrative? The economy is not so viable for these people to be immersed in these commerce to be able to also participate. The margin grows wider and wider. From the academic point of view, is there a need for us to change our alignment, perhaps put some spices in the curricula and get these graduates some new level up that they haven't had before?
That's a great question. That is what academicity is doing. We are more hands-on, practical, evidence-based. We don't believe in rote learning. In fact, lecturing is now outmoded. So if you have PowerPoint and you come and lecture, I'll fire you the next day. The reason why I do that is that I've taught in US for 20 years. When we go to class and I'm going to teach challenges in politics, we have boards, about 4, we call it 4 corners. Students will go there and write challenges that they think is happening, and then they discuss. Class is done. You give them assignment, they go and do it. You make education like learning their own experience. So they have 2 philosophies there. John Dewey, who asks that students should explore whatever they have. And then Immanuel Kant about ethics. These are the 2 philosophies that guides education in America. Dream in the class. So here you come, and I had 50% of my students failing in intellectual law. The lecturer is fired. If students are failing, you are part of the failure. Because their success is yours as well as a lecturer. So we have a situation here where it's all somebody's book. Chew, memorize, come pour it for me, and then you pass. That's not learning. In fact, if you look at Bloom taxonomy, definitions, formulas, there's no learning there, because you cannot measure any competency there. Learning is for creation, it is not for consumption. So if I'm learning and I'm not synthesizing, if I'm not analyzing the situation, and if I'm not creating something out of the learning situation, then learning hasn't taken place. Second, you have a situation where these students are going to school, they have no practical work experience, and then they finish school, come to your job place and say that I will take 5,000 Ghana cedis a month. What do you bring to the table? So universities should begin to hire these students at the libraries, at the other places, cafeterias. They learn how to work, the work ethics and customer services. So by the time they leave, they know what it means to work. The other is that academia should give us the cost. They should cost the cost of raising a child. So we know that in America, the average child, you will spend not less than $186,000 on them before they turn 18. Now that you know the cost, as a parent, you are determining how many kids am I going to have. That is why they're having one child or two. Because if you need time for yourself in vacation and live longer to 90 years, because every American, you can live to 90 years easily. It's how you plan your life. Because if you don't plan, everything about you is lottery. It's left to chance. So you need to plan the number of kids you're going to have. Because do you have 186,000? And if you have it, can you multiply by 3 for 3 kids? If you can't, then maybe 1 is okay for you, or 2, and you plan your life in such a way. So academia should give us how much is it going to cost to raise a child. Then the individual citizens will know this is how it's going to cost us. I have friends in the States who would take me to their grave and say that, Enoch, when I die, this is where I'm going to be buried. They've already bought their grave. So we have life insurance, we have health insurance, we have annuities. All these things are planned. According to the Senate, Social Security National Insurance Trust, only 1.9 million people in Ghana are contributing to Social Security actively. We are over 30 million. It means that less than 5% are contributing to Senate. What it also means is that all of you, your parents are going to be dependent on you. Because they've not planned anything for their future. And that is how academia should bring the facts. Because education is part of every solution. Once people see the facts, because we are all teleological, every word that you say creates a picture in your head. That is why great leaders tell good stories. Every word. So if I say you are beautiful, it creates a picture of beauty in your mind, and you begin to smile. But if somebody tells me you are a fool, do you think I will smile? No, because the picture that I see about foolishness is not good. So we should create pictures for people to see that it is scary and dangerous out there if you have not financially planned. Because in your old age, you need medication. You need something to eat. When you are taking a lot of medicine, diabetes, high blood pressure, and cholesterol, they will ask you to eat before you take them. And small cocoa will not help you, in taking that kind of medicine. So you need some good food to eat. How do you plan for that without putting the burden on your children? Once we know the implication, which is the end from the beginning, people will begin to listen to us about financial awareness. Thank you.
We can all share. What you said is very, 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 very important, very, very correct about the way things are in Ghana and also in the States. But are there any innovations that we can introduce? The harm has been caused. We have a wide population who are excluded when it comes to financial literacy. They don't know anything. Even bank accounts are something that people don't want to open accounts these days, as you mentioned. No, the trust is diminishing day by day because of what we're hearing with the irregularities in the industry. What are some of the innovative ways that we can introduce to the public, particularly our first population, the students, who are learning, gathering knowledge to the work market? How are we putting together important set of knowledge for these people to appreciate the banking sector where you head, and also other important financial sectors like the insurance and also the securities market, for them to appreciate that I have to invest, I have to open an account, and all these things. The trust is diminishing. What innovative policy design do we have to present?
All right, thank you very much. Someone said, well done is better than well said. I think we are very good at saying things and doing nothing about them. So all of us here in this room, including myself, let's do something. And that's the starting point, doing something about it. And I think that's the starting point for all of us. And to my younger brothers and sisters here, let's go out there and start sharing the information you are gathering today with someone. That's the first thing. The second thing is, usually when we go to church and the pastor preaches powerfully, we tell ourselves that those who should have heard a message were not in church that day. We are all here. We are the church members. Let's start with ourselves. Because if you are waiting for some innovative policies that will fall from heaven, it may not come. So start yourself. And that's important. Now, I think that we need to put ethics and a sense of personal responsibility in the heart of what we do. Right? And that is important. Ethics is about doing the right thing, even when nobody is watching you or is on your back to do it. So, at individual levels, at organizational level, at societal level, the best policy is ethical conduct. I know people who go to banks, who take loans, and they have no intention, zero intention to pay back. Now, when a bank gives money out, it's a customer's deposit that they are giving to you. So if you don't pay back, what policy will help the bank to give more loans to another person? So the policy is us, and that starts with all of us. I've been told, and I think we've all learned this in history, that one Kwajiri Agri said, if you want to educate, an
individual, educate a man.
Yes.
But everyone educate society, do it through a woman.
Sure. I think our mothers are very good.
Yeah.
They are budget officers. I think they are finance ministers.
The best economic ministers, yeah.
We need to support. And if you look at the statistics, 44% of SMEs are owned by women. They are women-led businesses. So perhaps that's the starting point. If we can get our mothers, our sisters to understand this financial literacy, we could actually be more inclusive and make significant change. So that's practical.
Okay.
The other practical thing is, perhaps if you want to educate a family, don't start with the man or the head of the family. Start with the child. Because these days we are all learning so many things from our children. And which is why we need to go to secondary schools. We need to go to primary schools and help them understand the financial literacy thing. So again, maybe back to your question, last year I mentioned we went to a number of secondary schools. And guess what we found? A number of our young ones are gambling. People gamble with their school fees. People gamble with all kinds of things. And it's not just at that level, right? So the point I'm making is we need to launch at individual level a campaign to educate our younger ones. And if they get it right, then they can begin to make those changes at family levels and at peer level, and certainly at organizational level and at societal level. Those are practical, because if you are waiting for some policy innovative to come from somewhere, please, we may wait forever. Thank you.
Thank you. And as we're wrapping up on this session, and we would like to have some few words, but let's start with Mr. Randolph. Mr. Randolph, we know that you are in a data-driven environment, and data-driven decision-making is very important for everyone, particularly our audience right here, because you need data to make the step you want to make. How are you making data available to these people, particularly around financial literacy, financial awareness, and also financial decisions that can help transform these mindsets to be better and also high yielded, obviously very vulnerable to our economy? Right from your circle, how are you making data available to these young people, or to us all, to appreciate and then make the right decisions financially?
All right, thank you. So in terms of data, there's a lot of data available. I think there is nothing more than you sharing experience or sharing knowledge. All right, so I think maybe what we have done a lot is sharing knowledge, okay, on how these things can change or transform people. Robert just mentioned that in the secondary school, people are gambling. You see, now they call that investment. Okay, so there's a lot of betting platforms now.
Yes.
And we say, Charlie, are they going to invest?
They're investing.
People are
and they're getting returns, right?
People, but the thing is that an investment? You know, and we are polishing it, and it's interesting that you go to even the workplace, you think that it's just people on the street, But you go to the workplace and people are also investing.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are watching the game and say, Charlie, this people, they spoil my investment today. So it's, in terms of data, I would say the data or the information, I wouldn't even say data, the information we are putting out there is our knowledge and sharing that knowledge with people on various platforms as to how relevant financial literacy is and why people need to then apply. These things are not in theory, but must be applied. You can hear and hear, but if you don't act, the panelists have said act, then the action must start now. So not just hear, but to act. So for me, as an organization, it's we sharing the insight that we have and how that can transform people. But I think for all of us here hearing the message, is the little you hear, act on it, action. Act so that you can change. If you change yourself today, you probably are also changing a nation, because a nation may be stemming or coming out from you. So that's where I'll rest my case.
Great. I'll give the honors to Mrs. Flores Abadasi to give us the wrapping one before we bring this panel to an end. Madam, what will be your closing statements on encouraging young people, students, to love to know more about what is happening in the financial world?
Okay, so we have talked about what the stakeholders can do, but also we all here are stakeholders.
Yeah.
You have the personal responsibility to yourself to take your destiny in your own hands. And so it's important that there is so much information out there now. So instead of just investing with your phone on these gambling platforms, do the work of searching, look for information, and don't just end there with knowing. Do implement it. Okay, am I budgeting? Am I saving? What am I going to cut? What cost am I cutting to make sure that I'm able to afford this or meet this financial goal? We are seeing a lot of trends these days, especially when it comes to weddings. And you would think that it's just the couple and their family that is incurring costs, but now individuals going to weddings, your friend is getting married, you have to buy kente, you have to, it's not something that, you can be doing if you are not financially stable.
Yeah.
And I remember a couple of years back, I told my friends, I'm sorry, but I can't be part of these things anymore. I'm going to come, I'll wear what I have and come and celebrate you. But you have to take practical steps and take your own destiny into your hands. If they're not teaching them in the schools, the information is out there. Look for it, educate yourself, and take steps into your own, to get into your own financial freedom.
Great. Nice people. It's been a great panel. Put your hands together for them. People, my panel has been great. You can do it better for them.